can't fit that in your dishwasher. Oh, hi, you're here. Okay, how are you all doing, you gorgeous bastards? I hope you're all keeping well. The the sun finally stopped shining here after months and months and months. Although we probably did need a bit of rain, and it drizzled yesterday and a bit this morning. And the countryside looks very lush all of a sudden. And but it's still quite warm. It's quite fairly humid at night. So I hope you're all keeping well. And everybody is copacetic, man. Everybody's copacetic, man. And listen, when I made that video last week, I wasn't saying I was going to step away from YouTube or anything like that. I said I was. Well, I got killed. When you hear this for epic, I was considering my options going forward, like Fagin in Ron Moody in the musical Oliver. I am reviewing the situation. When you're a villain to the end. And that was proven with me this week because I also gotten thrown off X. Now, what's happening is, it's quite obvious. The establishment in Ireland have gone after me because you had people like now on X where like Conor McGregor were thumbing up my posts and stuff. So I got noticed when they didn't really notice me before. It's kind of obscure in Ireland, which is nice. But so they obviously did their mass thing where they all kind of gang together and they report something in the hope that the AI moderator robots just ban you. And that's what happened with both Facebook and with Twitter. How legendary am I? So I am on Telegram. I'll post a link to the Telegram thing in the comments. So I'm over there causing, well, I've only just started, but I'll get me found and spoken to over there. And yeah, so the Irish establishment in its hysterical mediocrity. Let me explain to you about mediocrity. See, if ever anyone ever asks you about art, now you say like, how can you say the Irish are mediocre? They produce people like Phil Lynott and, you know, Conor McGregor and Roy Keane and all these famous writers and stuff like that. Yeah, but they did it outside of Ireland, really. They didn't do it in Ireland. You know, Ireland is the land where mediocrity is basically mother's milk. To be mediocre in Ireland is to be the ultimate Irish person. Now, we've always been like this. And mediocrity in Ireland means just whatever the prevailing culture is, that's a dogma. So you've all heard the stories back before I was born, when I was a kid, before I was born in the 1950s and 40s, Ireland was basically run by the Catholic bishops. And if you had an Irish family, and it dominated every aspect of life here, if you had any sense, you emigrated, which like so many did. I think more people left Ireland in the 1950s than they did during the famine. Something incredible. Yeah, they did. And that wasn't because they wanted abortions and stuff like that. It's because basically De Valera government had destroyed the Irish economy with two things. Firstly, the economic war with England, with Britain, in the 1930s, followed by, which no way they could win, followed by them giving their condolences to Adolf Hitler. The German embassy when Adolf Hitler killed himself. And they lost out on most of the Marshall Plan because they got some Marshall Plan money, but lost out on most of the Marshall Plan for that. So they never got to rebuild. So the country was a bleak, ruined place in the 50s. Now, there would have been other sides to it. There would have been a lot of people would have been very happy, you know, but it was generally not a good place because the bishops controlled everything. Now, that was all ending by the 1960s, when I was born. And was hardly a factor when I was growing up. But I didn't grow up in rural Ireland, so I don't know. But I didn't grow up in a religious family, so I don't really know. So anyway, it was always media. So you had it, and in a land of mediocre people, in a country of mediocre people like Ireland, where mediocrity is, you know, is considered like the greatest virtue. The way you achieve, I'm an achiever. That's what I am. I'm an achiever. I'm achieving the plan. How you be an achiever is not by going, we are the witches, our husbands all left us. We are the witches, we're borderlines too. No, not them. How you, oh, but that's going on now. I'll explain to it. If you see like the Beltane Fire Festival, it's full of swinging bitches, lesbians, and all kinds of, and filthy Palestinian flag profaning the ancestors. But what was I going to say? Mediocrity. So if you're mediocre, and this is not just in Ireland, this applies everywhere. But if you're mediocre, how do you excel? How do you become an achiever in mediocrity? How do you do that? How do you do that? By following the rules. By by proving to everyone that you are more orthodoxical than, if there's such a word, dogmatic in terms of the prevailing culture than anyone else. So in 1950s in Ireland, it was considered very weird. You know, they had large families. Like, you'd have, like, most families would have had about 7 children, but some families had 14, 15, 20 children. And if you came from a middle class family and you had your 7 kids or your 5 kids, if one of them wasn't either a nun or a priest, that was considered like there was something not right with your family. There's a Rolling Stone documentary called Finding Charlie, I think it's called, and it was the Rolling Stones' first. No, sorry, I'm getting that confused with something else. That's a good. That film Finding Charlie about the Rolling Stones' first tour of Ireland. That's actually that was when Ireland was changing to a better, a more modernistic society, and it had to. It was better that it changed. But there's another film I saw, and it was like a documentary film someone had filmed in Ireland, interviewing Irish people, and all in the background, all you see are nuns and priests. It was filmed in the late 50s. All you see are nuns and priests. So it was considered something wrong with you if you didn't have a daughter who was a nun and a son who was a priest, and maybe a doctor. That was the thing. Like, you see that in the Father Ted thing. He goes when he says to Dougal, he goes, Dougal, when I was growing up, it was very common in Ireland for if you had sons, they either became a doctor. The smart ones became doctors, and the idiot ones became priests. And then Dougal goes, aren't all your brothers surgeons dead? Well, yeah, it was literally like that. In Ireland, the smart ones went to be doctors, and the dumb ones became civil servants or and the ugly girls would be married off to someone with money, and no, pretty girls, and the ugly girls went into the nuns. That's how Ireland used to run. Now it's 2025. Let's imagine those families in Ireland that had the nuns and the middle class families who are just, don't rock the boat types, do what the government tells you, do what the church tells you types. Those families, their bloodlines have now continued on, right? And so it's in 2025. And even though they were devoted to what the bishop said back then, the current generation are devoted to what the government says. So the same families, the same demographic, the same archetypes that would have been considered weird, would have had at least one daughter in the nuns, a son who was a priest, and and another son who was a civil servant or a doctor. They will have today, the same family, same bloodline, will have a transgender one in the family, a paddy stillion in the family, and a climate change activist in the family. Why? Because that's what the prevailing orthodoxy, the priest, the high priest and bishops of the day, want from the mediocre middle class Irish, and they get it. So they have no belief in these things. They have no faith in them. They're purely a homage, a salutation towards the mandates of the prevailing culture, which today in Ireland is woke. In the 1950s, it was the Catholic Church. In the 2025, it's woke. So those people back in the 50s were no more pious than the ones today. And you say that anyone would tell you that the darkest families in Ireland were always the most religious ones, and the darkest families in Ireland today are the most woke. The same family, the same bloodline continued, the same mediocre middle Ireland bloodline, the lovely men, and that's the kind of children they're producing now. Paddy stillions, troons, and climate change activists who work in the civil service or NGOs. Seriously, what it's like. So but why? Because that's prevailing orthodoxy. You know, these people and these these mediocre middle class, middle Ireland types, if the Irish mass media and government told them to be headhunters and cannibals, they would do it. They wouldn't have any debate about it. They wouldn't have any internal conflict about it. Their mediocre NPC normie minds, middle Ireland minds, would do it. So they're all the ones who got me thrown off X and Facebook. If it was back in the 50s, they would have did to me what they did to Edna O'Brien. They would have had me banned. I don't think she was banned. Ireland does. Funny enough, Ireland doesn't have a history of banning books. I was just trying to explain that to one. Ulysses was never banned in Ireland. It was banned by the Americans. Americans banned Ulysses, and on obscenity grounds. And the reason why they banned Ulysses in the United States is because no respectable woman would have an orgasm. I believe it was something like there's a scene in it where he's on Sandy, where Stephen Dedalus as Stephen is on the beach at Sandymount Strand during a fireworks festival for the summer whatever evening fireworks festival, and a disabled girl is masturbating behind him, and she has an orgasm as the rockets go up, and so he actually does too, watching her. So playing with himself. So Bloom does, sorry, and so. They would be, that's what they all piled on. And the reason why they piled on was last week on X, I had made the link. I said, do you ever notice how many of these Palestinians have photographs on their profile pages? They're all young, bronze, stripped to the waist Palestinian boys throwing stones. They're very homoerotic, the images. And whenever you see these Palestinians meeting these people, or like journalists from Gaza, now I'm not taking sides one way or another, I'm just observing, right? Well, actually, I would. I'd always take this. Well, I can't stand Netanyahu, but in terms of like civilization things, I'd take the side of Israel any days over jihad. But, and you can quote me on that. But not because I think one is wonderful and the other isn't. I think it's because that's just the way it is. Hobson's choice. But as things stand. But the pictures of the Palestinians are all like this next to them. They're actually in heaven, the Irish Palestinians. So then I said, I think there's something pederast homoerotic about these guys' accounts. They never show photographs of young girls throwing stones or doing things. It's always photographs of young boys or young men. And I said, I think there's a huge suppressed T.E. Lawrence. T.E. Lawrence was Lawrence of Arabia. He's the one who created the whole concept of homoeroticism among Arab boys. He wrote stories about like the bronzen thighs of my Arab lover, boy lover, and all this stuff. He was a total paedophile. And these guys seem to be continuing that tradition in a weird kind of way. And so I said that, and on X, and a lot of people agreed with me. And I guess the Palestinians ignored me. Or the wokies ignored me. The lefties ignored me. But lo and behold, people have said. I remember one time I did a talk in Collinstown. It was a beautiful talk at the end of the lockdown in County Westmeath. And this Russian guy comes up to me. He was like a skeptic. He was okay. He wasn't a bad guy. He's allowed to be skeptic. And he goes, Thomas, you are dangerous. People look at you like you're a prophet. Well, I don't know about that. I just have good eyes and I observe things. If this is near prophecy, literally 2 days of me making that statement, lo and behold, paedophile activist and the default minister for education, when Roderick O'Gorman was the minister for children here, Peter Thatchell, was arrested at a pro-Palestinian event in London, solidifying my theory that there's a weird pedophilic aspect to these Palestinian males and with a strange obsession with stripped down young boys in Gaza, stripped down to their waist. And lo and behold, Peter Tatchell comes up and basically validates my point. Next day I'm gone from X. That's what did it. That's what did it. I sussed you fuckers out. Now I know why you want open borders. You want young bronze lovers from countries where underage relationships with boys is not considered illegal. You've been found out. Of course, like, not all of you. There's lots of people involved in the pro-Gaza thing that are genuine people who are genuinely upset. It's horrible what's happening there. And it's horrible what's happening in Israel. It's happening everywhere. It's terrible when innocent people die. But that weird attract in the same. Now remember, in the 1950s, the Irish homosexuals, in order to hide their homosexuality, went into the priesthood. Who else went into the priesthood? Well, all you have to do is look at the numbers of Irish paedophiles that were exported through the Catholic Church. Okay, who's on the flotillas? Remember, it's getting very creepy the more you think about it. But I'll just leave it at that. And again, no disrespect to people who have a genuine compassion for the suffering, as long as you don't believe that's more important than what happens in Ireland. And that's one of the reasons, that was always one of the reasons I used to block people on Facebook who had the Hamas flag, because they care more about, even if they claim to be, on the Irish, like, patriot side, they care more about Arab nationalism and jihad, their backdoor Trojan horse jihadists, than they do about Ireland. So, now, so the Irish mediocrity is the most dangerous thing in the world. Like the GAA, the Gaelic Athletic Association, their members at the the Gombians, they're at the head of the human trafficking operation in Ireland. That's why they turned Croke Park the national stadium. Have you seen the film Michael Collins? Remember the scene in the film where the British Army came in and shot the people in the stadium? That really happened in 1920, I think it was. That really happened during, I think it was a match between Dublin and Tipperary, and a player was killed. Michael Hogan, I think his name was, or not Hogan, Cusack, one of them, and the stands were named after him, the stadium. And that stadium is still there today. It holds 80,000 people. But the Gaelic Athletic Association, who were entrusted with safeguarding that legacy, turned Croke Park into a mosque, and they do it every year during Eid or one of those fucking things. And all the pork dodgers are all on the pitch facing Mecca. In the same way, they give you the same message that Britannia on top of the customs house in Dublin, when she's looking away from Ireland like this, sort of like uninterested towards London, that when we were under colonial rule, now they're looking away disinterested from Ireland towards Mecca. The GAA is telling you where their future is. And all these GAA gombeans are all involved in the human trafficking around the country. And they say things, oh sure, I know I made 100 million, but I'll give it to charity. The charity will be the local GAA clubs. That's where they'll go to. So it's all, the GAA is a despicable organisation. Only, other than hurling, it's a piece of shit. It's an awful sport, a bog ball. And they're the enemy. They've destroyed national identity in this country by turning us into 32 little statelets. Like, that's what happens when Kulak happened in Dublin and things like that. People down the country go, oh, I don't care, it's a Dublin thing. That all comes from the GAA. That all comes from, they've destroyed Irish unity. You'd never meet a Dublin person who would say, I don't relate to people in Clare. I can't stand people in Limerick. I can't stand people in Sligo. You'll never hear them say that. They'll say, oh no, they're all Irish people. There might be a bit of banter, the Colchies and the Jack Ians, like the townies and the city folk and the rural. You get that everywhere. And it'd be harmless. But you'd never see an Irish person say, I hate people from Sligo. A Dublin person, I hate people from Westmeath. But you'll hear, I hear it all the time here. Like, your Dublin accent, won't hold it against you. And when Dublin is in the All-Ireland GAA finals, the whole country is against Dublin. I've been to Croke Park, I've been to several All-Ireland finals, surprisingly enough, because I used to get tickets, because I used to work for the place that did something with the stadium. And I can remember going right back, I think it was Offaly versus Roscommon, The All Ireland final, 1983 or something. I was about 18, 17, 18. And when they did Amon Navi, the national anthem, they were all barely singing it. But when they play like, Loch Ree or whatever the local song, Long Way to Tipperary, wherever they're playing, Molly Malone, well, not so much the dubs. Even when the dubs are playing there, they'd be woofing and woofing during the national anthem. You go to an Irish soccer or rugby international, and when they play the Irish national anthem, the fucking ground shakes. Ground shakes. In fact, if you want to hear the Irish national anthem sung in incredible depth, look at the video of Ireland playing England at Croke Park. I think it's 2009 or something. And it's literally the Irish players with tears rolling down their eyes singing the national anthem. And the stadium, 80,000 people. It's like literally thunder. And you go to the All Ireland Foreigns. Whoa, 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 whoa. You know the hang sandwich. This kind of fucking thing. But the Nordies are the worst. They won't sing the Free State anthem. So the GA has successfully exploited regional divisions in this country and destroyed national unity. So it's of no surprise to me that they turned the National Stadium, Croke Park, into a mosque. No surprise at all. Or that all their members are central to the human trafficking going on in this country. I'm not surprised that they're gone beans. I'm not surprised at all. Not surprised, and doesn't surprise me one bit. And that's all part of the Irish mediocrity thing again. Now, so like that's basically I'm off X now, which is a shame really because I was kind of getting to be fun, and you appeal, but they never listen to you. It's only a robot you speak to anyway, and so I'm off Facebook. So that's the end. So I'm on Telegram now, and I'm still here for some. I'm sure that they'll try to get me off everywhere. But like I said, if it came down to me having to produce fanzines, I'll still do it. Always remember that if I vanish off the internet, somewhere, somehow, you will find me and I'll be making A5 fanzines and mailing them out. Little newsletters. I'm a villain to the end. I can't change. I can't fucking change. And why should I? Now, speaking of change, artificial intelligence is getting kind of real fucking creepy. Now, it's kind of an oxymoron, artificial intelligence, because you can't. My nose is so fucking itchy from the pollen. It's like fucking little needles being stuck in just here and here. And it makes my Rosh Kriya. This phone, everyone says to me, well, you always look much better in real life than you do on your phone. I know this thing fucking makes me look horrible. Because it shows the Rosh Kriya, see? The Viking disease. There's nothing you can do about that, really. Well, you can change your diet and stuff, but I like fish and chips too much, so fuck that. I can live with that. But it amplifies it. You don't really see it that much in real life. But they say to me, oh, you look younger and your skin is nice in real life. Yeah, because this fucking phone, it's like, it fucking hates me too. It that's the phone. That's what I'm saying. That the phone is going back to me. I am reviewing the situation. I'll fuck your face up till the end. That's what the phone is fucking doing. But the digital world. I'm like, fuck. Are you not entertained? I'm like the fucking gladiator with the digital the digital spectrum. But yeah. AI. So we're now approaching something like artificial general intelligence. Now, oh, by the way, a lot of people have asked me, am I going to England this year? No, I'd love to go. I wanted to even go to Neil's Mysterious Earth conference as a punter, just as a crowd member. That's on, but I can't get to see that. Sadly, I was even looking because I'm just not well enough to travel yet. I've got really bad pains in my side when I'm sitting along. But I am getting better. And you can see my mood is a lot better now. And I just don't want to be stuck in a plane or a ferry. And So I'm not going. But I might be doing an event in Roscommon, I think, in the summer to talk about that, which is not far from here. So if you live in Ireland, or you want to come to Ireland, visit our fair isle, might be an opportunity to come for a holiday, a weekend. If you live in Scotland or England or somewhere, Wales. But anyway, yeah, I shall keep you informed. Cause I'm an achiever. But what the fuck? What was I going to say? Yeah, artificial intelligence, artificial general intelligence is a theory developing in Silicon Valley, where rather than this like sentient being, this digital chin, it's basically the world's greatest encyclopedia, and it has knowledge of everything. So that's bad enough because it has all kinds of issues pertaining to things like copyright and things like that, as well as the fact that it's like you know people are actually doing their college theses now with and their reports with like AI, Chat GTP. Now, if I go to Chat GPT and I say the Dunwich Horror by H.P. Lovecraft, what you get is the most basic surface level thing with kind of fluff. So it's really not that clever in lots of ways. And so what is worrying is the augmented reality that artificial intelligence is capable of. Like you see the videos getting better and better all the time. And the sort of the mimicry, the chimera of reality becomes more and more plausible. So I can definitely see a day. Say you're living in Ireland and you don't like the way Ireland's become. You're walking around Ireland full of Arabs and Paddy Stillions who are looking after them, going, "He's so hot." And you say, "I don't like Ireland. I like the way Ireland was in the 50s when the priests ran it." They'd probably have to put a chip in your brain where you walk around and it turns you're living in 1950s Ireland. Like that's what they'd be doing. If you live in America and say, "I want to live in a Norman Rockwell painting," they put a Norman Rockwell. It's not like in the dystopian films where you sit there with headsets on the time, all the time like that. No, it'll be actually you'll be walking around functioning. Uh, but you think you're dealing with people in 90. You're talking to some guy called fucking Mohammed, and you think his name is Mihal, or Mickey, you know. I think that's what they're going to do, something like that, and I think that's what they're going to create these kind of like opt out AI, where you can opt out of this reality and into a fake reality that's not the one you are currently living in. It's kind of like the suicide pods, but it's a suicide for your conscious awareness. Your suicide for your conscious awareness. Wow. But I think they're going to start doing things like that. It's really going to kick off now in the next 5 years. Governments seem to be very happy with it. They don't care about it, as long as they can. Oh, by the way, talking about injecting us, there was a report in the Daily Mail that some of the needlecraft uptakes in NHS hospitals in England, Britain, UK, and I bet it's the same in Ireland and your country, among nurses, is now in the single digits, which means in many hospitals around the UK, up to 90% of the staff are not taking the foghorn leghorn plus. The boy said they're not taking them anymore. While still putting posters up on the wall saying, "Have you got your latest?" Boy, I say, boy. They were getting these people are fucking dark. They're not. They all know. They all know that there's bodies dropping dead everywhere because of the foghorn leghorn needlecraft. But they ain't saying shit. Instead, I mean, many of these motherfuckers would have injected their own families, and yet there they are sitting there on the single digits, saying nothing. Very hard to trust them after that, isn't it? Very hard to trust the fucking guns after that. So yeah, that's just we where there's no ethics in these people. Well, we saw it, Jerry and Kate McCann. There's no fucking ethics, you know. Somehow the Portuguese police are responsible for them neglecting their children, whatever that, you know. So that's that. This is the leaps of logic these types make. You know, I'm a nurse, I'm an angel, I'm a doctor, I'm a saint. You know, you can't question me. Especially in Britain, where they replaced Christianity with the National Health Service. That's actually their religion. Well, was their religion? I don't know how it is. No, it's probably their religion now is Islam. Did you see that councillor in Derbyshire in England, that was posing with an AK-47? Like they're not any, you know, this, you know, a pork dodger. They're not even Ibrahim. They'll be like that. They're not. You know, one day you'll switch on the TV, right? You have the augmented chip in your head, and you're sitting. You go to see Ireland playing France in the World Cup. It's filmed. It's in, you know, and you go into the stadium, and now the Irish national anthem. Ibrahim, Ibrahim, Allah, Allah, Allah will pray for you. Right? And then you go, oh, hold on a second, click. Sheena, Fina. You go into the altered reality. You go into the altered reality. That's what it's like. That's what they're doing to us. What's the way out of it? You know, I was thinking the other day, like, I don't generally want to slash my wrists, but when it's not those things like I don't generally do this, but when I do, you know, that they got the beer ad for the Secchi, I think it is. I don't generally want to slash my wrists, but when I do, I watch a David Icke video. Now I watched some David Icke videos the other day, just you know, just to catch up, and of course he makes some great points, good info, but mother of fucking Jesus. It is the most depressing stuff imaginable. They're all lizards, all of them, no exceptions. There's no hope. There's no such thing as a happy day, a good win. We're all doomed. And the comments under the videos, it's like, they're all like these suicide cases. Oh, David is wrong. There's no, David is wrong. There's no hope. And I just had to switch the band's videos after a while because they were just so unbelievably negative. I could actually feel myself being unhealthy watching them, becoming unhealthy. And there's lots of little wins. And one of the ways, look, Denmark is showing the way out of it. Denmark has done a complete 360 on the whole, you know, fucking diversity thing. And, you know, the pork dodgers are all leaving. Sadly, most of them to Sweden, where they still have, the gimps are getting better, but there's still a big problem there. And so Denmark shows though, and it's like Denmark is a country where it's like in Denmark they're a bit weird that way in how they all love their government. I was struck at me about Danish people. Oh, the government are wonderful. Oh, the government are wonderful. It's kind of, but they've actually been smart enough to actually say, see, they vote in Denmark. The Danish are more intelligent than the Irish, and the Danish voted for politicians who said close the borders, and they started closing the borders and deporting and cutting off welfare. The Irish, on the other hand, even if they are, you know, they still call. See, one of the reasons I think Ireland is doomed is because even among our side, is that they're all in love with politicians. They all call them by their first names. They all think that they're friends. They beg them. Ah, sure, Jesus, you know, Ruth, give us an old closed border, will you? She's insulting them. Because even the ones in this country who claim to be patriots, who are against the establishment here, you put them in front of a politician and they fall madly in love. They can't stop. They call them by their first names constantly. Even Simon, Ruth, Mihal, Jesus, you know, give us an old bit of freedom, will you? Please, we beg you. We call it by a first name even harder, maybe you'll do it. You know, they haven't figured out yet that, you know, that the politicians are laughing at them. The most terrifying thing you can do to an Irish politician is say, call them by their second name or their official title, because then they know they've lost control of you. So you see them all standing about their tricolours. This is one of the reasons I stuck. Good luck to everyone who's marching, right? And doing. I totally on your side. I'm there with you. And there's a big one coming up in Cork and another big one coming up in Dublin. But I know that most of the people there, when they're doing the speeches or holding up signs, will have politicians' names at their first name. as if they're their mates, because they still love them. And they won't say, they won't even say Simon Harris. They'll stand up there giving speeches saying Simon. That's what they're like in this country. They haven't figured that's because the politicians are doing nothing, because they know that even the people that are supposed to hate them love them. They love them because they call them by their first names. So they'll never harm them. Where in Denmark they go, Deputy Johansson, you better do this or I won't vote for you. The Irish, but the Irish version that is, Jesus, Ruth, give us a bit of old freedom, will you, Lord? Jesus, you're me old mate. That's what they're like here. It's a fucking joke. Fucking joke in this country that way. Absolute joke. And it's just shocking, actually. And I've been saying it for years now. They still aren't listening. They'll be down in Cork all going, Mihal, and even when you say Mihal, it's just the same thing. You should call him that fucker Martin, that piece of shit, Harris, that traitor, so-and-so. You shouldn't be calling them by their first names. And it's sickening. Just sickening. That's the mediocrity thing again. That's the mediocrity thing. I can't stand on the front line with people who are going, Simon, Jesus, Simon. I can't go away. Just get away from me. You're useless. You're fucking useless. Go back to, falling in love with the British soccer clubs you were in love with before you discovered, your town was overrun by Arabs. But I can't stand it. It makes me sick. So, good luck to you, but, until you learn how to actually, if politicians aren't shaking in their beds, then you've failed miserably. If politicians can't eat their dinner because they're afraid of you, you have failed miserably. And in Denmark, the politicians are afraid. Why? Because the people actually do what they'll say to do. Here in Ireland, they go, here's the last Irish election. Oh, jeez, I should look, Mairead, I should look, look. Oh, they've opened a pass centre next. Oh, look, Jesus, there's a fucking fella from Syria riding your fucking granny up the arse. In the corner. And look, there's Roma gypsies. I just robbed your shop. Oh, we can't have this, Moira. Oh, we can't have this. What are we going to do about it? I'm going to call up Joe Duffy and say, Simon must do something about this. And then I'm going to vote for Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil even harder. That was the last election in Ireland. And it'll be the next election too. It'll be the next election, I guarantee you. Now, and this is no disrespect to people like, Mr. Stevenson and Gavin Pepper and those gentlemen in Dublin who won elections and the ones in January. Good luck to them. They have my support. But they've actually got. I've actually tremendous respect for them because of what they're up against. They are up against the most formidable enemy on this island has ever produced, the Irish voter, because they will vote to protect the establishment no matter what, as if they're on first name terms. Sanguine Gnosis, love yous all. Take care. Find me on Telegram. Telegram Sam, you're my main man. Telegram Sam, you're my main man. Doot 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 doot. I'm an achiever. That's what I am, a villain.